All right. Good night in Timmons. And, I thought we got off to a pretty rough start defensively. But, finally, middle of the half, started turning a little bit. Got our defensive energy up. We were scoring early, but we weren't guarding. And, I thought once we got a little bit better defensively, we were able to, get a little bit of a margin going into halftime. I thought that was a critical spell right there in the last, 6, 7 minutes before the half. And then, came out, great start second half, built the lead. And then, we knew they'd make a run. They've got some old guys, and they can really shoot the ball. And I thought we got a little careless on offense, just weren't quite organized. And, took some bad shots, some quick shots. And then, they cut it to 6. And then, we made another run. And, I thought that's a good sign. It's a sign of a good team. You got to be able to absorb runs. You got to be able to make runs. And, we made a run to stretch it out and got a 21-point win. So a lot of good out there. The rebounding was great, 53 rebounds. I don't know, when the last time we've done that, but something we've been emphasizing, and it's really carrying over. I thought that we got to the free throw line again. We've been able to do that here lately. Just aggressive. We're not shooting the ball quite as well, but we're making up for it on the offensive rebounds and on the free throw line. And, so you get out of the game and you look at it and you're like, man, 41%, 25% from three, not good. But then, you score 79 points. And so we're finding ways to score the ball. And at the end of the day, all teams are unique there. And, we know we have good shooters. We know that. And we got full faith that we can have good shooting nights. But I love seeing what we're doing on the glass, and we got to continue that.
Coach, I think you had two separate stretches in the second half. One for 10 from the floor. You had 14 turnovers, and you won by 21 points. And I kind of you can just kind of feel the confidence in this team growing with every passing game. And does it kind of start with JP at the number one and kind of permeate? I mean, you've got the veterans. It seemed like JP was the one who kind of, when they got it down to 6, kind of led that charge there, a little quick 11-0 run.
Well, JP's just growing up by the day, and it's been a process. I remember from the summer just kind of seeing it like, man, he's gonna really have a good year, and then it kind of went in the fall, and then you knew you had to be patient with him, and but you could just see it in practice. You could see his competitiveness. He has some characteristics in terms of, all the great ones have a unique care. They just have a unique care. He's got a unique care, and all the great ones have an unbelievable competitive spirit, and he's got a competitive spirit. He wants to win, and everybody wants to win, but he's willing to do the things that you got to do to win. And he's been kind of having all those guys play well. I mean, it's just a lot. Like, when you got, what you got with Mike, what you got with Slauson. Now in conference play, Marcus is really, taking a big step, and then JP is taking a big step. And then, Garrett, you saw what he did in Greensboro, right? And then tonight off the bench has gotten comfortable with knowing that they're going to impact. Tonight it was Tyrese, right? And then Carter did some good things outside of the early turnovers. Ben played really, really hard. A-Will didn't have the explosive offensive night that we've seen him have. But tonight he didn't have to, you know what I mean? And so it's, JP, he thinks the game. When we get in these little dry spells, it's funny, like, we talk about a lot, like, we want to just be on the rails, right? Like, we want to play free and we want to play conceptual, but, like, we don't want to be out there not knowing exactly what the court looks like. And what he's really gotten a grip on is what this thing's supposed to look like inside the concept. And, we started attacking the middle of the floor with Mike and Slaw there, when they made their run. And I think we scored 3 consecutive buckets right there to kind of push it back out. But seeing his growth, it's been a lot of fun.
I know you talked about the start defensively, but I know you played Chattanooga once already, but you played them with Stevens, and it's a completely different thing that you're seeing in terms of, like, ball rotations and the quickness that it's not centered around Jake Stevens. So how hard is that? How much is that is you guys just figured it out going along, and as the game went along, I mean, Dalvin White wasn't getting open looks.
Yeah, I mean, he sure got a bunch early, it's funny, like, they won in Johnson City their last game and played well. Like, they had a lot of guys step up and play well. And you can tell, obviously, not having Jake is a big loss. they're trying to play a little faster, you know, and they're trying to get out and run. And, you know, for us, like, we wanted to, hey, all right, well, you know, that's what we do as well. So let's I mean, this thing's going to be fast. And we had some guys getting a little tired, and, you know, that's the beauty of having that bench. Like, we didn't have to play anybody over 31 minutes tonight, you know, and when you're playing all those guys, you can keep the tempo up. And I thought that was key, you know, of just making sure, hey, let's go, you know. But they got some vets. They got some old guys. You know, I mean, A.J. Caldwell's been there forever. Obviously, Dalvin, we played against him in Upstate. Hankton's been there for a long time. You know, I mean, you look at Davis. He's a transfer. You know, you look at what they have, right? Johnson is a transfer. We knew they were going to, like, come in here and compete. You know, Dan's too good of a coach, and how they play is going to challenge you from different spots. So, you know, that was a big thing, just trying to tell them, like, hey, don't get in the game and get surprised when they're running that ball up the floor. We're telling you right now it's going to be faster. And so sure enough, Marcus hits that three in the corner, and they sling that ball ahead, and, you know, Johnson's banging a three right back. Like, it's just those things we got to be cleaner on. But I thought as we got into the game, we did a better job, you know, of not getting in transition. We had Garrett on the perimeter at first. We switched that after halftime and had him guard the five and just Slauson play on the floor. And I thought Slauson did a much better job. But they present some challenges. There's no doubt about it. It's a headache.
Watching the game from the very beginning, I was struck by how Furman was dominating the boards. I mean, throughout. Now, the game got frantic at times and a little sloppy. But the other thing is, your team is durable, because there were three of the hardest hits I've seen in them. But when Slauson came in and the guy sort of amazingly stood in, and then Vanderwall and Huey took real big licks on the floor. But I mean, that's probably partly a consequence of the pace. But I mean, that was a fast speed game.
Like I said, I mean, we knew they were going to play hard, and you know, I got a lot of respect for their program, got a lot of respect for Dan, and you know, we knew it was going to be a physical game, you know, and that's something we've tried to really emphasize in practice lately. And you know, we bubbled up the rim yesterday in practice, and you know, made them all misses, and you know, you just got collisions, and so our guys are getting used to it. You know, they're buying into it, and you know, it's something where we really dipped down there. You know, we were rebounding well in non-conference, and all of a sudden, to open up conference, we weren't rebounding the ball well. And at Chattanooga, we didn't rebound the ball well, you know, in terms of on the defensive glass. So it was a big emphasis going into the game tonight, not just getting offensive rebounds, but making sure we did a good job on the defensive glass. We let some get away in the first half, but I thought in the second half we did a much better job of that. Second chance points, you know, they got 10. I bet majority of those were in the first half. I can remember 2 threes they got. That's 6. So we held them at least to 4 or less on the second chance baskets in the second half.
Well, this team seems to be, I mean, quite obviously, you said it was going to happen. In hindsight, you just see an increasing chemistry between the players, between people who have been unfamiliar, between Whit and Vanderwall. The whole team is acclimated to playing with them.
Yep.
There seems to be a togetherness, which is natural. But
Well, I mean, I've joked with some of my friends, and it's taken us 20 games to figure it out, but we figured it out. And you know, when you have all these young guys, I mean, still tonight, 5 of the 9 are underclassmen, and I looked out there at one point, we had 4 underclassmen out there, you know, and there's going to be some growing pains there, but you know, you got to be patient with players. You got to be patient with young players. You got to continue to give them confidence. You got to continue at the same time to hold them accountable. There's teaching moments tonight in that game, you know, like that's what we do, right? We want to be master teachers, right? Like we want to, every single day we come in here, that's why this room looks like this. This is a learning environment, right? And we want players to come in here ready to learn, right? Ready to improve and be deliberate in their improvement and have an urgency about it. And, you know, like we knew that going into this year. And, you know, it's easy for people to watch the game and have their opinions that they had early in the year. And what about this at point? Or I wonder why he's playing and all that. Like they're not here every day, right? And that's the noise you just got to block out, right? I mean, you think about all the stuff, right, that we heard, you know, at the beginning of the year. Well, I don't have to hear that stuff anymore, right? We see how good JP Pegues is, and we see how good he's going to be, and we see how he's continuing to get better as his confidence grows. And, you know, that's our job is is to connect and relate with our players, right? To teach them, to motivate them, to inspire them, but at the same time hold them to a high standard. And if we can do those three things on a daily basis, players are going to get better, and that's been the staple of our program. And Matt Rafferty's here tonight. Jordan Lyons is here, obviously on staff. You see the former players. We lose Alex, we lose Conley. The year before, we lose Clay, we lose Noah. You just got to keep getting better. And that's why I've been really proud of this group, and that's why they're so fun to coach right now. Because, man, like Tyrese Huey played better tonight. You know what I mean? Like, we're just growing. And, stay focused on what's in front of you, and find a way to get better tomorrow. Let's go win Thursday.
If you hang around your bench enough, you'll invariably hear next play. You haven't heard a whole lot lately, which is a good sign. But tonight you have more turnovers than they did. But points off turnovers, you have 18, they have 9. That's the epitome of next play and the epitome of team defense.
Well, it's a game of mistakes. I mean, that's what basketball is. I mean, it's really – and I think that's where this team's grown the most is response to mistakes, and understanding, correction versus criticism and getting to the next play but taking the feedback, making sure we're giving good energy, right? Like making sure that, hey, encourage them, let's go, right? And, that's where this team has learned one another better. I think as the year was earlier, just the mistakes would compile a little bit and the motion would change. And we've done a lot better job with that. The bench is more active. The bench is more into it. I think you're seeing more connection on the court. I think you're seeing more communication on the court. I mean, tonight, they tried to run a guard-to-guard ball screen. I mean, I hear Marcus just yelling it out to JP. And, immediately I looked at Marcus and I said, hey, that's really, really good, because he's not always been the loudest player out there, but he starts screaming it. And, that's what you want. You want to see that connection build and grow. And to get in the huddles and knowing that, hey, we got a really good league. We're going to play really good teams. Teams are going to make runs. We're going to make runs, right? What do we have to do to get better? And that was a good thing about tonight. Like, we weren't the first 2 timeouts. I wasn't really pleased with their effort, but, it was, hey, let's just go out there and let's do it better. And you can see them responding and taking the coaching, and we start playing a lot better after that.
A lot was made during the non-conference struggles on defensively, but I was looking at the stats today, and Furman's up there, in conference-only stats, and I think was back-to-back games with less than 60 for the opponent. How much? And some of those numbers are skewed because teams, that's their pace of play, but it's not. It's obviously not Furman's pace of play. Can you speak to how this team has gotten better defensively, and it has less to do with it? I mean, we all know the effort's there, but can you just speak to that?
Well, non-conference stats are a little relative based on strength of schedule and who plays who and, the quality of opponent and different things like that. Obviously, the non-1 games don't get included, but when the high major plays the low major in a bye game, those numbers get included. And so, you got to be careful reading in too much to non-conference stats. The goal of any team is to be ready to play once it gets to conference season. Non-conference is set to prepare you for that. And, this has been a deal for me. Stylistically, I'm aggressive. I want to get out and I want to get 2 on the ball and I want to rotate and I want to fly around. I learned with this particular team, we're just not built for it. You know what I mean? Like that's not what puts us in position to be our best, and that's part of coaching. You might say, well, this is how I want to play, but if it's not best for our personnel, then we have to adjust. And so, I can't stand passive defense, so we've had to figure out ways to be a little bit less aggressive, so to speak, in ball screen coverages. But we've had to keep a tighter floor. We've had to limit our rotations a little bit more. And, it wasn't a care thing. It was just how this team was wired. And, it's the hardest thing to do is to go out there and hedge a ball screen. It's the hardest defensive coverage. And we've been good at it historically. But for whatever reason, it just didn't quite fit this team. Now, we still utilize it in certain games. And, but this has been more of a, hey, let's find ways to limit rotation and let's stay in front of the ball. Let's wall up around the basket. Let's make them take tough twos. Let's get to shooters. And I think, and also let's be really, really good in transition defense. And, they showed a desire, right? And we made those tweaks. We made those adjustments. And, it's really paid off for our group.
Look ahead to Wofford. Play them once, just like this will be, I guess, the third team that come around the second time. It's a rivalry. It's at the well, and they did you quite a favor by knocking off Sanford last week. So they're obviously getting better.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of respect for their program, and good friends with Dwight, and he's doing a good job. You know what I mean? And we obviously played very, very well offensively at their place, and scored 96 points. And I didn't think we were necessarily fantastic defensively, so we got to be better defensively. And we got to be sharper. I felt like both halves we didn't get off to good starts at their place, and so we got a lot to get better at. This is not a finished product by any stretch, and we feel like we're continuing to improve. But it's a rivalry game. They're going to be excited to play. We're going to be excited to play. There's a lot of interest in the game. There's going to be a lot of people at the game. It's going to be downtown, beautiful venue, beautiful city, and we're just fortunate to be a part of it. It's a lot of fun, and we know that it's going to present its challenges. There's no doubt. I mean, they've played well. They beat Sanford. I watched them getting ready for this Chat game. They scored 85 on Chattanooga. They put a lot of points on us, so they've got a high-powered offense, especially when those shooters are getting going, and we got to do a better job defensively in that game.
Am I reading too much into this, that the last two games by the first media timeout, all five starters have a bucket? And, you're already confident as it is, but to see when your first shot go in, and for all five to have that happen, that's got to be a confident thing when more confident way to start the game you could find.
Well, I think it's my preference as a coach. It's the game is just prettier when the ball touches everybody, and when the ball's moving side to side, and you're working at great shots, and that's when we're at our best. We get 19 assists tonight, and we only make 7 threes, right? So that means you're cutting. That means you're making some plays at the basket. I think our offense is not as fun to watch when we're one-sided, stagnant, a lot of dribbles, right? But when that ball's moving and, the go-to man's open man and you just trust it, right? And I think that's what's built with this team is just trust, right? And just get the ball moving. And tonight when we had that little lull, like the ball was stuck, the ball was sticky. And, this team, man, when that thing moves side to side, and the speed and the attackers that we have and the space that we get to play with, it's fun to watch, but when we start to kind of play a little bit of, iso ball, it's not quite as fun. So to get 19 assists tonight on a below-average shooting night, I think that's a credit to our guys trusting that ball movement. And I think that's why you see 5 guys score early because that ball's popping, and we're not playing iso ball through 1 or 2 people.
And when I asked Mike about that, he said, it's organic, and he's right. He had no idea that was the case the last 2 games. But
Yeah, I mean, we said that, going into this game, like our play is better than our plays, and we want to play, we want to be conceptual. We want to play through concept, and there's got to be a lot of trust in that. There's got to be a lot of movement in that, and it just makes the game more fun. Plays are a big part of the game. Obviously, I called a lot of plays when they cut it to 6, and just at that point in the game, wanting to get the ball to certain spots. But it's a beautiful game when the ball is moving and the spacing's right and the respacing is right, and our guys have just gotten a lot better at it.